G'day, Ben from Melbourne here, and today we're going to participate in a thread started by Rob Walker. I'm, as usual, late to the game with threads. I just can't keep up. There's too much of that shit out there. So my half-year resolution is to just do them as I want, and if it's too late, too bad, it'll just randomly pop up on my channel. Anyway, what is this thread all about, you're asking? Rob has just recently celebrated having made 200 videos and decided to do a thread where everybody shows 12-inch singles, which is like one of the favorite formats of Rob's. And, you know, plenty of fantastic 12 inches have come out of Manchester, where the favorite son, Rob, is from. Also, if you've been under a rock for quite a while, and don't think you know Rob, well, he's the one who used to do the yearly vinyl tag, but he decided to retire, gave it up for someone else to take over the mantle. They went out a bit early in December. Few people followed. Mazzy called it the official vinyl tag. Rob went on a stream, had a meltdown about it, but I think everything's all smoothed over and good now. Rob's been like a great supporter of many channels over the years, as you would know, always promoting new channels, always putting up links and stuff there and giving shout outs as well. He's actually the first person who ever subscribed to my channel, and one day, with any luck, he might even watch one of my videos if I'm lucky. Anyway, we've rhubarbed on for a bit now, so let's get into the 12-inch singles. I'm going to start with all Australian stuff, of course, because that's what I do here. And then, as a tribute to Rob, I'm going to share a few of my other favourite things from Manchester in the 12-inch format. So first up, the Australian stuff with the great Simon Bonney-led Crime and the City Solution with the Kentucky Click, backed with Adventure. Of course, this band is a bit of a super group of the underground, if you will. It features people like Mick Harvey from the Bad Seeds, the mighty Roland S. Howard from the Birthday Party, his brother Harry Howard, and epic soundtracks from the Swell Map. So if you like your Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds and maybe the Triffids and that kind of ilk, I reckon this would be for you. So here's another Crime in the City Solution. This one's called The Dangling Man. And we'll keep it in the family for a bit here. So this is the band that Roland S. Howard formed with his brother after Crime in the City Solution, and I think he did a few collaborations here and there with people like Lydia Lunch as well. But then in the late 80s and early 90s, he formed These Immortal Souls. This is the 12-inch Marry Me Lie Lie. And Mike Carlson just cannot get enough of Roland S. Howard's vocals. Probably his favourite vocalist of all time. Next up, still in that ballpark, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds with a real early 12-inch single, The Singer. Great cover of this song. I'd never heard the Johnny Cash version for quite a while, and this was the only one I knew. And, you know, it's one of them things where the one that you know first is your favourite, as much as I don't want to besmirch the great man in black's name, who it is a great version, I appreciate that, but I absolutely love this one. Bit more Nick and the Bad Seeds. This one's the Weeping Song, the dual vocal with Nick and Blixer on the front there. They both look a bit forlorn. They're probably after a hard day's rowing, looking for another fix. Last one, into the 90s with Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. This is the Lover Man 12-inch off the great Lover Man album, I think. No, Let Love In, sorry. That's the one. Fantastic, powerful single. Now we'll get into a bit of garage rock with the mighty Lime Spiders and their single, The Other Side of You, and look at that, $3.99, the same price as a 7-inch. Why would you get the little one when you can get the big one? Next, Legends, Died Pretty with Whitlam Square. Fantastic band, more in the probably indie rock side of things. The early stuff kind of had a punkish power pop, I would say, all of the Citadel stuff. But yeah, and just they were great the whole way through. Just majestic songs in the latter half of their career. Sadly, lead singer Ron Pino hasn't been with us for a few years now, but yeah, magnificent stuff. Died Pretty. And now Legends. You all should know these dudes. The Go-Betweens. Brisbane's second finest, in my opinion, with the great indie pop track Right Here. Killer song. So catchy. And probably a lesser known one by them called Was There Anything That I Could Do? But still, really good track. That, if you know anything about the Go-Betweens, they were consistent from the start to the finish. Really good songwriters, Grant and Robert. Now, this one's for Romuald the French Vinyl Addict. The Laughing Clowns with the 12-inch of Eternally Yours. This is his new favourite band, well, particularly the album this track comes off. And it's got a great melodic sax hook in there. Jeffrey Wegner's amazing drumming. Don't be scared of the sax. All of you non-jazz heads. And, that's all I'll say, because I don't want to offend someone like Big Gaza, who's jazz is his main bag. So I won't offend him there, and we'll leave the sax alone. Next up, The Birthday Party. Yes, where it all started with quite a few of those bands I've just mentioned. Of course, this was Nick Cave with Mick Harvey, Roland S. Howard, Tracy Pugh, and Phil Calvert. What a band. More on the art side of punk things. If I go back in time, that is definitely a band I would have loved to have seen live. Probably a bit scary too. Now, this probably doesn't count, but it is a big record with one song in it. And that is AC/DC with Cold Hearted Man. This is the only AC/DC you need. The one fronted by Bon Scott. Nothing against Brian, but just doesn't tickle my fancy like the Bon Scott era. Last one from this side of the world is actually from our good neighbours in New Zealand, and that is the magnificent Chills with the aptly titled Heavenly Pop Hit. The only thing wrong is it should have been a hit. Okay, now we're moving to Manchester with a few of my favourite 12 inches by some of my favourite bands from there. There's been a few other ones which I'd be like, oh, I'd like to get my hands on them, but I've just never seen them over here. But we'll start with the Happy Mondays with Loose Fit. What did they call them at the time? Was it Northern Soul? I don't know, something like that. But anyway, they were sort of part of that Manchester or Madchester scene where the indie bands started to get their groove on a bit, and a lot of stuff would be mixed in with dance floor beats, and yeah, legendary band, of course, and all of the Manchester people will just be watching that description and going, what the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, New Order, Blue Monday. Apparently this is the one that sunk, was it Creation Records? Is that the one? I think I got that right. Alan McGee. I probably got that wrong. Or was it Factory? It was Factory, you dickhead. See, this is why all the Manchester people are like, what is this guy doing showing all these bands and trying to talk about them? But I'm going to keep on keeping on. Now, a great band with an incredibly polarizing singer, and that, of course, is the Smiths with Shakespeare's Sister. Big Mouth strikes again. Great photos in all of the Smiths singles, and ending with "That joke isn't funny anymore." I think there's a few people out there who are trying to get the set. Good luck with some of those because they're worth a fortune. Now, possibly my favourite band from Manchester, and that's Joy Division, which I've got back to front, with Transmission. What a track. Of course, Love Will Tear Us Apart. Atmosphere. And another one of my absolute favourites, who probably don't get the love they deserve in the VC. And Rob did actually mention him, which is good to see because they're a favourite of mine. And that, of course, is The Fall with their great cover of Mr. Pharmacist. Creep. Ripping song, quite disturbing artwork there. And the one that Rob actually showed, Cruises Creek. Now, if you've been on another planet for a few years and don't actually know who Rob Walker is, it's all right. I'll leave his link to his channel below so you can subscribe, and we'll just keep that quiet because, you know, Rob basically is the VC. Anyway, that's my contribution, and sorry it's late, but that's the way I roll, baby. See you in the next one.